AATCC California. It's great to see those of you again who we saw before. We're going to get started. We're waiting for Maria Theory, and we're not sure where she is. So we're going to get started and go over the agenda. And again, I'm Eva Reale with Levi Strauss & Company. It's great to have you here, and I'm going to hand the microphone for a moment to Karen. But before I do, I just want to say that for those folks that are, thanks, Heather. For those folks that are in Southern California, right now I'm getting texts from Heather Shields. There's going to be, you'll be able to see and hear us pretty well from your computer. There may be a delay on our end a little bit. So I'll be looking for your comments, and I will make sure that they get discussed as soon as possible. And for those of you who are here, when we start talking, we've got another mic we can pass around so the folks in Southern California can hear us too. Okay, so actually I'm going to do this one. Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Mullen. I'm with the North Face. So I think we'll just go around real quick and introduce everybody in the room so we all know who each other are. Right, Jenny.
Hi, I'm Jenny Hickson, and this is actually my first meeting, and I work at Gap.
Hi, I'm Tricia Danitz, and I work in the wearables area.
I'm Don Rasmussen. I work at Anajet.
I'm Michael Katz, and I have a company called Jacquard Inkjet Fabric Systems, where we process textiles for digital printing.
Bill Morris. I'm with Applied Silver, and we do antimicrobial textiles.
Stephanie Turner. I'm with Triple Aught Design and Materials.
Lisa Cram, and I'm with the North Face.
Crystal Moody, and I am in the materials development area.
Amy Nowicki. I'm also with the North Face.
Hi, I'm Margot Lyons. I'm with Koyuchi in production.
Maria Theory with AATCC.
Ellen Uyanko with Williams Sonoma, and I'm in the global compliance area.
I'm Rajat, basically from Intertech, which is a third-party testing and inspection agency.
And I'm Eva Reale with Levi Strauss & Company.
All right. So our agenda is on the screen. Can you guys in Southern California see it? The agenda? Okay. So do we know who's in SoCal?
Hi, Heather. Can you text who you have with you? But hi, Heather. Are you by yourself? It's fuzzy. What's fuzzy? The sound? You're by yourself so far. Oh, sorry. Okay. I hope people come to join you soon. But we're looking out for you, and I'm watching out for your questions and comments.
So I think, does everybody have a copy of the agenda to just kind of follow along? You can follow on the screen. So this is our first AATCC California meeting, and our first order of business is to review our bylaws for our section. So Maria has kindly joined us from AATCC Corporate to help us go through this document. I pulled it together using the template that Maria provided, along with referencing the other sections in the U.S. to kind of give us guidance of how we want to structure our bylaws. Yeah, if you don't mind bringing them up. So Maria, I mean, have you had a chance to look over what we put together? Okay, so we can go through it. We emailed it. Mm-hmm. Okay. We can just go through it. It's pretty simple, I think, for us to all understand and agree to, so we can go through it. If anybody has any questions or comments, please bring them up and we can address them right now when we're all present. So if we want to keep scrolling down. I can do that. Okay. So first section is section 1, and our name, which we voted on last time, which is AATCC California. The government of this section shall be governed by the bylaws which are consistent with the Constitution and bylaws of the National Association. The objectives for our section, we're still following the model that we had been proposed, which was to have 7 pillars kind of create the foundation of what we are all trying to accomplish. So we broke that into color perception, laboratory testing, regulatory compliance, chemical applications, sustainability, technology, wearable electronics, and education student engagement. Of those pillars, they all have the 4 same objectives, which are in line with the objectives of the other sections of AATCC, which are education, research, communication, and promotion. Does anybody want to add anything, or does everybody agree with that objective of this section? Yeah. Membership. So unless otherwise requested, all corporate, senior, associate, junior, and student members of the association who reside within the boundaries of the California section, which is California, shall be the members of the section. Other interested in the activities may also attend. So anybody, Maria?
Junior's no longer a category.
Okay. So
yeah, otherwise it's fine, but
okay.
You don't need junior. Junior's no longer.
Can you explain what the difference between the senior and the associate members are?
To be honest, there's not a lot, except that senior members can vote.
Okay.
And associate members cannot vote. Associate is meant for someone just out of school in their first 2 or 3 years. I think it's someone with less than a certain number of years of experience in the industry. So what they're saying is, someone just out of college probably isn't going to know enough to be able to vote in all the things of the association. But there's all kinds of different rules. If you have a PhD, you're automatically a senior member. I guess they figured if you're stayed in school a long time, that was good enough, Everyone here is a senior member.
Okay.
All the individual senior members.
Okay.
Okay.
And then that leads to voting members. Only senior members of the California section have the right to vote. Moving on to Article 2, which is officers. The elected section officers shall consist of a chair, a vice chair, secretary, and a treasurer. These officers shall be elected by the members prior to the start of their election term. We have not yet held elections, so right now we have temporary. I am the temporary chair. Eva is a temporary vice chair. George Dubois, who cannot attend either on the webcast or in person, is our temporary treasurer, and then Sarah Simmons, who also cannot attend tonight, is our temporary treasurer. Secretary, correct. Secretary. National representation. The representation of the section at the national level is determined by the Constitution of the Association. Can you explain that to us a little bit?
The representation at the national level, right now the geographical sections are arranged into regions. Some regions have one section, some regions have several sections. California is part of the western region, which includes the northwest section. And I believe there may be some section out in the Midwest. But for sure it's you in the northwest section. So you have a western region representative. And in fact, this is an election year. So you guys should be on the lookout in either the magazine or the newsletter, depending on when they get me the information. That's printed, either the magazine or the newsletter. Probably the newsletter, because the timing is generally better. Will announce the slate of officers for the regions. Unfortunately, as you are no doubt aware, no one has a lot of time for electioneering, so usually there's only one. The seat is usually uncontested. There's usually one person who's running. Sometimes there's contested. Sometimes it's an actual election and you get to choose. But you should know who your regional representative is. So if you have important things to take to national, that's who is going to take it for you. I believe you can also, don't nail me down on it, but I believe if you really vehemently dislike the person who's running for regional representative, you can do some kind of write-in ballot thing. I would talk to headquarters, to Mr. Daniels, because I don't really handle the elections. But if I know for president, if you vehemently dislike whoever's running for president-elect, there's a write-in process where you can get together with enough senior members to say, hell no, we won't vote for that, et cetera. But in general, you get to vote for your regional rep. You get to vote for the president of the association. We have the system of government where it's you vote for the president-elect who serves for 2 years, then they become president for 2 years, and then they become past president for 2 years. So somebody running for president is really dedicated volunteer, giving up 6 years of their lives to AATCC in the hot seat. That's a lot of commitment. But sometimes the presidential election especially is hotly contested because the president's agenda is often the direction the association will veer in coming years. Does that answer your question, or did I go totally off track?
No, it answered it and more.
And more.
Do you know who our Western rep currently is?
I used to know until you just asked me.
Okay. We'll follow up on that one.
And then my brain just went blank. I'm sorry. I know this is an election year, and I believe the Western rep has to give up their seat. So there's going to be a new Western rep very soon, and you guys get to vote. Yay.
All right. So then moving on to Section 3, Executive Committee. The Executive Committee shall consist of the elected officers of the section, and the Executive Committee shall appoint a membership chair and the pillar chairs. In our temporary status, we already appointed pillar chairs to get the ball rolling on the vision of the section. So the pillar chairs we can introduce afterwards, but those have been appointed. We are still looking for a membership chair, so if anybody is interested, let me know, and then we can get you appointed. Eligibility, you have to be a senior California section member in good standing, which I assume just means that you've paid your dues.
And you haven't been acting weird and somebody's
And we like you.
Yeah, that you haven't been thrown out of the association by embarrassing your family and your company, and et cetera. But yeah, I'm being facetious.
Okay.
Yes, basically if you've paid your dues.
Okay. Terms of office. The terms of the officer position shall be 2 years and may be eligible for re-election. The reason I bumped this out from 1 year to 2 years, just because I think it's going to take time in your positions to really familiarize yourself. We're only meeting quarterly, so 1 year I didn't really feel was appropriate. It would be over before it really even started. An officer may not hold the same office for more than 2 terms consecutively without the approval of the executive committee. So we can talk to each other in 4 years if we have any conflicts. Section 6, nominations and elections. A nominating committee shall be appointed by the section chair at the start of the new officer's term. This committee shall nominate, obtain acceptance from each nominee, and present these nominations to the membership prior to the election. Any senior member interested in an officer position shall make their interest known in writing to the chair of the nominating committee. Nominations and elections shall take place in the year prior to taking office. So this is something we'll be working on pretty quickly in the near future. So anybody interested in being part of a nominating committee, let us know as well. Moving on to Article 3, meetings. There shall be a minimum of 4 meetings of the California section each year. The dates and places for these meetings shall be selected by the executive committee. A scheduled local AATC technical conference may replace a regularly scheduled meeting. I think we've agreed that meeting here at Levi's headquarters has been a great place for us all to kind of get together. So unless we have any objections, I think the dates are still going to be determined and the places might change, but we're assuming we're going to keep meeting here. Annual meeting. The annual meeting of the section shall be held in combination with the last regular meeting of each calendar year. The business of the annual meeting shall consist of the presentation of annual reports, audit report of the treasurer, and other business properly presented to the meeting. Section 3. Special meetings may be called at any time necessary by the majority of the executive committee. Maria, can you let us know what would be considered a special meeting in general?
If you have any kind of emergency that you have to make a decision, you can call a meeting, or if you just feel that you have something fantastic going on that you want an extra meeting. They call it special meeting just because it's not your regular meeting. If you have a, go ahead. Yeah, I just didn't want the ringing sound. It's called a special meeting because it's not your regular meeting, but it just means an extra meeting.
Section 4, executive committee meeting. There shall be 2 executive committee meetings a year. The first meeting shall take place within the first 60 days of the calendar year. Additional executive committee meetings may be called by the chair or a majority of the executive committee. Section 5, a quorum. A quorum for conducting business of the section at a regular meeting shall consist of 5% of the senior members of the section. Okay, are we all good with section Article 2? Yeah, did it to be physically present or just on?
You guys can decide what's appropriate. Some of these rules are pretty old.
Pretty dated.
And they existed before the internet, so.
Okay. So Ellen, you think it should be a higher percentage?
We could do a 50% if people are allowed to call in.
I think we have a lot more members, senior members in California that are participating right now. So on the distribution list, and I'll cut them, I have a lot of people who are interested in it and not necessarily members. I think we have almost 100 California members.
Well, if we did 50%, then we have to have the ambitious goal of getting 50 people either in this room or online, which is, that's ambitious.
Yeah.
I would go with 10%.
10%.
Not much more than that.
Yeah, I agree.
That's fine too.
I would stick with 5 to be safe, and then, you guys can decide, for this decision, we feel like it's an important decision and we want a 10% quorum. And then the regular decisions only need the 5. That way, if you have some kind of spotty attendance, unless people feel that they're not being represented by 5%, that's the touchy thing there. If people are going to be upset that 5% of you are making all the decisions for everyone else. But in my personal feeling is if they can't bother to show up or dial in or email or anything with their decision, I don't know that they have a right to complain after the fact.
I guess it's 5% right now in the room.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay,
I mean, we can.
Reality.
Yeah, we can. I mean, I think maybe 5% is a good place to start, and if we get more participation, that we feel.
If you
that we
feel
can
you need to
revisit it.
adjust this, you can adjust.
Yeah, we're going to have a bylaw subcommittee so that they can adjust these bylaws in the future if they need. Okay.
Okay.
Moving on to Article 4, the duties of the elected officers. These are taken out of the leadership guide that AATCC corporate provided. So I can go through them. Oh, you have one. So do you guys want me to read all through these duties, or, okay, I don't think you want me to read all through them either.
It's available on the website if you want to download it.
The only changes to what is in the leadership guide that I've adjusted for the California sections is the duties of the vice chair. Because we don't have technical committees, we have pillar committees. I've changed the verbiage so that it reflects that. I am on page, I'm on under article, right there. Right, the pillar. Right there. So the vice chair will work with the pillar committees for the technical programs. We also added in, instead of a technical chair, in section 5, the duties of the pillar chair. Yeah, those are in the on the website. I didn't modify anything. And the pillar chairs are going to be responsible for our quarterly meetings, so that the way that we have it broken up is that each quarter we're going to have that pillar chair kind of be the host and then represent each of those pillars. So one quarter will focus on lab testing, one quarter will focus on color perception, one quarter will focus on chemical finishes, so really rounding out what our presentations and our technical matter is going to encompass. Section 5 is the duties of the membership chair, so anybody interested in holding this office, definitely read over what these duties involve.
I would deeply appreciate anyone who would step
You would
up.
work with Maria.
I would be very much your friend.
That should be section 6.
You are correct.
There's Margot, actually. Margot's on it.
Thanks, Margot.
I did find the answer to your previous question. Who's your regional, is Susan Matter from Nordstrom.
Okay.
Since previously the Northwest section was the only thing out here, it was from the Northwest section. But if anyone is ambitious to be the regional rep in 2 years when the next elections come up, start planning your campaign now.
Section 7, the duties of the executive committee. Again, I did not alter this from what the corporate leadership guide suggests.
We're getting a request from Southern Cal to turn up the mics or speak more. We're getting a request from Heather in Southern Cal to either turn up the mics or speak, more into the phone. It's a little hard for her to hear.
I'm sorry, Heather.
Is this better? How's that, Heather? Testing, testing for Heather. Can you hear clearly? Okay, I'm going to give the microphone back to Karen, and she'll continue, and she'll speak into the phone and microphone.
I will. Slowly and clearly.
Just fine, and we hear you. So the speakers, what you may want to do, you can say, just pass the mic around.
Okay.
We're hearing that in the back.
We'll do that. Yeah? All right, Heather. Thank you for your patience. Article 5, standing and other committees. Section 1, standing committee. These are committees that are falling outside of what the chairs are doing. So the committees that we've decided, and again, if anybody has anything to add or take away, let me know. A media committee, and I've already appointed a committee chair for this who's looking for 2 additional members who would like to participate. So Amy Nowicki has already been doing this function since we've kind of taken off with this. Membership, again, is a chair and 2 members. Each should be a senior member in good standing. And Amy's going to help get our LinkedIn page up and running, and that way that'll be a way we can communicate with each other outside of emails and blasts from AATCC corporate. 1B is a nominating committee. Again, definitely what we're looking for is any member interested. It'll consist of a chair and 2 members, each in good standing and not an elected officer of the section. And under the direction of the section chair, they shall meet and select candidates for nomination to the offices specified by the section chair. This committee shall notify the candidates of their nomination. This committee shall present its report and its nominations to the section at the annual meeting. Again, this is going to happen more rapidly for us as we are going to go into our elections before the next meeting. 1C, the auditing committee. This committee shall consist also of a chair and 2 members, each in good standing, and they shall examine the treasurer's records and shall prepare a report for the delivery at the annual meeting. So they would work closely right now with George Dubois, who's our treasurer. We currently have no money, so this should be a fairly easy position. As we get money from corporate and as we raise money individually as a section, it'll become a little bit more comprehensive, and we'll learn as we go and look to corporate to kind of help us understand what exactly other sections do in this capacity. 1D, the bylaws committee. Again, a chair and 2 members. And the duties of that committee is to establish that all amendments to the bylaws to this document are duly recorded in the section's records, instruct the section secretary each year to mail a copy of the bylaws. We would do email. And to undertake any tasks pertaining to the bylaws directed to them by the executive committee, and to prepare proposals for additions or amendments to these bylaws.
Karen? Yes. I would add, if these folks could send a copy of the bylaws to corporate.
Sure.
We try to post your bylaws on the website under your California section page. So instead of, sending them bylaws or something, you can just send them the link when you've updated it if you send it to us, and we'll post it for you.
I like that option. Great. And then 1E is the Southern California Engagement Committee. This committee shall consist of a chair and 2 members. I also already appointed Heather Shields, who's in our SoCal meeting right now, as the chair for this subcommittee. And Heather's duties are to coordinate social events in Southern California, to work with the media committee chair to publicize and promote section events, to work with the membership chair and act as a section representative and liaison to promote and recruit new members in Southern California, and to work with the executive committee to identify the needs of the membership base in Southern California. So since we are all in Northern California, it's a big state, and I think we all identified when we met with Diana Lyman when we started exploring creating a new California section, that there is a large textile community in Southern California, and we want to engage with them in whatever way possible. So thank you to Heather for kind of helping us lead that charge, and really kind of re-engaging the community that's down there. I know that a bunch of members who are part of the Pacific section are also wanting to get involved. So hopefully they'll get to a place where we are, where we can do dual meetings in Northern California and Southern California. Section 2, other committees. These are just options to throw out there that existed in other sections bylaws. If at some point in time we could create a corporate membership committee, an individual membership committee, and an awards committee.
These aren't, if you want to have them, you may, but they're not absolutely necessary. They're just, in the past, they used to have a lot more members, so they needed a lot more committees.
One day. Article 6, general. Section 1, awards. Section 2, vacancy office. And Section 3, amendments to the bylaws. All these I took from the other committees, the other sections that had them verbatim from other sections. So I made no changes to those as well. Thanks. Awards, I think, would be in line with what AATCC corporate, correct, Maria? That there is national awards that sections nominate section members for? And student members?
You can do that, or you can have your own section awards if you wish.
Okay. Is that typical?
Some of the other sections do give an award for outstanding service to the section. Back when we used to have more members, there was a lot of activity, and some of the section folks did a lot for the big technical programs, and so they would get an award in recognition that they'd done a lot of work, and we appreciate you, It's a certificate and recognition, not a huge deal, but it's something nice.
Okay. Perhaps when we get money.
Maybe take them out to dinner.
Bake your cookies. Okay.
But yeah, you can also nominate for the major awards that the association gives. We definitely are looking for members to nominate folks for those awards because sometimes the award committees are at a loss as to who to give it to this year. So,
When does that come up?
Off the top of my head, I'm sorry to do this to you, but I don't know off the top of my head. We do announce it when it comes up. It's a cyclical thing. On the webpage under the About, I think there's something that says awards, and that should say when each award nomination is due. Typically, the award committee meets during the committee meetings in the spring and the fall in May and November. So if you get information to the awards committee before May or November, that's probably a good plan. Does that help? Thank you.
Okay. So in reviewing these bylaws, I'll make the changes that we noted, removing junior, correcting the section number, adding in the western region. Does anybody have any other changes or amendments that they would like to make? No? Okay. I'll give you guys time to review it too and follow up with everybody just in case you have anything that hits you later. Then moving along on our agenda, if you flip over your agenda, I actually have the AATCC California Vision, which will segue nicely into determining our pillar chair timetables. So again, in order to engage with as many professionals and students across the disciplines of the textiles, the vision for A Squared California was to be founded on the 7 pillars. So everybody's introduced themselves already, but color perception would be Eva and Lisa. I'm going to do laboratory testing. Regulatory and compliance is Ellen. Chemical applications is Bill. Sustainability is Crystal. Technology and wearable electronics is Jennifer, who's not at present right now. And then educational and student engagement are representatives from the 3 student chapters and universities within California. So Mary Branham from FIDM LA, Professor Che from Cal Poly Pomona, and Dr. Shea from UC Davis. And as we get going as a chapter, I think engaging with the student chapters more is going to be a big initiative for us in terms of having them attend our meetings or webcast into the meetings and engaging with them from the professional workplace to students, members. For our calendar proposal, and this is open to change, as we talked about, we're going to split this into quarters, so we would meet quarterly. This would be considered our first quarterly meeting for 2016. Because we have 2-year terms and 2-year calendars, we're working off of with the 7 pillars and then this one annual meeting, breaking it out. So Q2 we had proposed as being the lab section to tackle first, and then going into color perception in Q3, wearables and technology in Q4. In 2017, regulatory and compliance, education, student engagement, chemical applications, and then sustainability. We can also meet with the pillar chairs if there's any disagreement or if anybody has anything fantastic happening in calendar that would align nicely, let us know. If not, we can plan on having the first technical portion being the lab in Q2. I'm currently looking for a speaker, looking to have commitment from a speaker that we're interested in terms of give a presentation on lab testing. And then again, the pillar chairs will meet with the executive committee to kind of establish their program and determine what resources are needed for them. And then we'll let the members know as soon as possible what the topics are so people can plan accordingly. Does anybody have anything to add or concerns or questions?
I don't quite understand what the meetings actually happens. Like when you say lab, are we going to discuss laboratory procedure or what?
Well, I think that we're leaving it up to the section.
Can you ask your question again?
I was just curious what sort of things that we would discuss in these different topics, or how would we discuss them, or is it a presentation by someone?
I think what we had initially talked about was having each of them possibly be in a different format. So a lab could be a lab tour. It could be a presentation by a lab testing expert. It could be a panel, really whatever the pillar chair had determined. It could be going to an exhibition together. I know there was a color exhibition we had talked about at some point at a local museum. Really whatever is determined by that pillar chair of what they want to do.
Oh, I got it.
With the idea of kind of mixing it up and making things feel a little bit less formal, that we wouldn't, as much as I like sitting in a conference room, making it a little bit more engaged. That way people are interacting with each other and with what we're talking about.
Great.
I was wondering if we have a resource besides the listserv to survey our members and see if they're interested. So say, I'm Pillar Chair Sustainability 2017 Q4, so I've got some time.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, like SurveyMonkey I've used in the past.
Yeah.
Is that a resource that we could use?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So SurveyMonkey is kind of how we got this section up and running. It was a SurveyMonkey that went out to corporate members and individual members in California and then shared amongst people. So I think, especially with Amy with the LinkedIn, we can direct our members to go with the LinkedIn page and then click on what they're interested in, and we can create SurveyMonkeys. Each of the pillar chairs can create one to kind of understand what the membership base is interested in.
Yeah, and just in general, just a general question to the group, what do you guys want to see for each one of these pillar chairs? What do you want to see in a sustainability module? What is it about for textiles that really, you would love to do a tour of something? Is it a waste treatment plant of some sort, or is it more textile specific? So just, email the group and let me know.
Definitely email the group. And I know, Ellen, when we had announced the pillar chairs, each of the pillar chairs had kind of said out to membership, like, if you're interested, let me know. Creating little modules within it. That way people who are more aligned with one area more than the other could help support. We all need vice pillar chairs.
Yep.
No one's going to be running this. So I know Heather was expressing interest in joining the lab pillar. So I think if the members are interested, to definitely contact their pillar chairs and let them know if they want to help with the program, if they want to kind of guide what they're interested in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the next up is elections. And then Eva just asked, when are we going to have elections? Maria, for elections, because we're not starting at the beginning of the calendar year, what's typical for a new section? How do they hold their elections? Crystal.
Honestly, I've seen elections via email. You tell folks who's the nominating committee nominates people. For the most part, the elections tend to be uncontested because it's hard enough to get somebody who'll say yes, I'll do it. But if the nomination, if the election is contested, then it's somewhat more exciting. But you set your nominated folks for your officers, and you set the date for when all the votes have to come in, and I guess you decide who is going to tally the votes. I would imagine the nomination chair would be in charge of that. I've seen one new section happen, and they pretty much did it via email.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be like super formal, because I doubt very much that it'll get that political.
Okay. We might do SurveyMonkey for our elections.
And that's absolutely fine. Yeah, that easy peasy.
In saying that, is anybody who's currently present interested in being on our nominating committee?
Someone charming who likes to talk other people into doing stuff that they'd rather not do?
I can't be on it. I can't be an elected person.
Hearing is still a bit of an issue for Southern Cal, so just be conscious.
Okay.
So hearing is still an issue for our Southern California contingency. So please be conscious when you're speaking into the microphone to speak, pretty close into it. And Heather, how you doing? Better?
Yeah, better. Okay. So what I'm thinking in terms of our elections is that we'll put an email out to membership. We'll talk as the executive committee that we already have temporarily to see if any of us are interested in retaining our temporary status, and then possibly put that out to membership as just keeping it for the first 2 years. If anybody has anybody they would like to nominate, feel free to email me. We can take it that way. And I'm anticipating our section elections, they should happen in February. I mean, we want to kind of get ourselves grounded and get this more formalized. Let me look at a calendar real quick. But hypothetically, end of February. Does anybody object to that? No? Okay. So I will send out an email to the executive committee as well as to membership and let them know, and then we will vote via SurveyMonkey and get that formalized and set up. Next on...
Excuse me, when you do have your elections, if you would mind copying us on it?
Absolutely.
And we can help publicize it to the membership if you like.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's that. And then finally on our agenda is to discuss the regional happy hours between meetings. We had met in December. We had a very informal happy hour at Butterfly down on the Embarcadero that we had a smallish but fantastic turnout, I think, for people who did attend. So I know we talked about meeting quarterly. We kind of all lose touch with each other, and it's every couple months we're like, hey. So we thought, especially for Southern California, who's not present at these meetings, as well as Northern California, it was a great opportunity for us to meet socially and kind of get to know each other a little bit better. So we were thinking about putting on calendar and publicizing, having standing happy hours between our quarterly meetings. I know where Heather is right now in Paradise in LA is where they met for their happy hour, and they had a really good turnout for our first happy hour. So hopefully we had a pretty decent 10 people about showed up for our happy hour here. So I think that's something we definitely want to keep going. If anybody has any suggestions of where to hold a happy hour, if people like a standing place to go, let us know, but we'll also plan one of those for early March. And we'll coordinate with Southern California. We staggered it. They were like a day apart from each other. That way members were kind of all in the same rhythm. Does anybody have any suggestions about that or other activities that they would like to do?
It's too new.
It's very new. I know. That's pretty good. That is all I have on the agenda, which is kind of on schedule, which is amazing. But thanks everybody for coming. Thanks everybody for participating. There's a bunch of members here who aren't actually formal AATCC members, and I think that's fantastic. You don't have to be an AATCC member to participate and to attend our events, and I think the idea is just to really build the community of textile professionals we have here. So invite your friends, invite your colleagues, send out emails, forward stuff.
Actually, Karen,
As I drove past Howard Street, I realized I haven't seen anybody from Gymboree here. Are they still around?
yes.
So I don't know about you guys, but I have been like cornering people I know who have been telling me they're interested and that they know other people are interested. So I think it's just a matter of reaching out. I know Gymboree, one of our development managers used to work for Gymboree. So she said she knows people. So yeah, if you know people, I mean, there's members here tonight that other members kind of brought with them, so it's a matter of grabbing somebody and taking them. It's a great way to network and meet people, even outside of your comfort zone. For myself, I have a lot to learn other than lab stuff, so I'm really excited to, hear what other members are working on and, participating in inside of work, outside of work that have to do with textiles. So it's just creating opportunities for ourselves and, again, engaging with student members as well. They're the future of what we're all doing, especially as textile programs are closing. So kind of keeping the momentum and excitement going is a really big part of why we're all here.
Heather, do you have any questions for us?
Keep talking. That's all I have.
Okay.
Oh.
This is from Heather. We're talking about using someone's conference room for quarterly meetings and having a standard place for happy hours in between for ease. Great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think, like we talked about earlier, it's pretty convenient for people to come here, I'm assuming, for our quarterly meetings. And unless we have an offsite, if we were doing a tour somewhere or a factory tour or something, that would be offsite. But I feel, hold on. I keep talking. The delay. But I think those are things we can talk about too. Again, I think with the LinkedIn page, it'll be a really great opportunity to connect with each other. If there's an exhibit or a book or a speaker, just let other members know about it. And it's a great opportunity to share information. Okay, we will find a new place for the SoCal group to meet. Okay. Okay.
Is it possible to get a list of attendees?
Absolutely.
A list of attendees so that we could familiarize ourselves with who's here?
Absolutely.
Great.
So for all members that are here, we'll definitely publish meeting minutes. We'll have the members that attended, as well as on the LinkedIn page, people can actually see each other and know what companies they work for, and that'll be a great resource as well. We can also share the AATCC individual members with other members. That way you can have them be as contact. I added on the last emails, I used to have everything be blind copied, and I started not doing that, so you can all see who's in there and kind of figure it out by their email, what companies are involved. And again, throw people on that email distribution, forward it, let me know. Like I said, we have about 100 AATCC members. I have about another 50 people that are interested, that are not members, that I'm distributing all of our information and our meetings to. So if you know anybody you want to add to that, just let me know and I'll throw them on whatever email I send out persistently.
Heather's also asking if someone is taking minutes, and normally we have someone to take minutes, but she couldn't make it tonight. But also this session is being recorded, and we'll have the sessions available for your viewing pleasure, and I'll update you guys on that.
Besides voting and serving on a committee, are there other benefits that are not available to non-members?
Allowing the membership director to say stuff like this is not a good idea because I don't think anything should be available to non-members, but this is your section and you have to run it the way you want to run it. That was my short answer, sorry.
Our intention, Because we are a new chapter and we're getting off the ground, I think we want to open this up to as many people as possible and really expand any individual who's interested in participating to participate. So other than having the individual and corporate benefits of being a member, getting discounted pricing and getting access to buyer's guides, in terms of participating in this, what the section is doing, other than voting and being on a committee.
Some of the sections do things like if they have a program that requires people to chip in, to pay a little extra because the section doesn't have the money to cover everybody's attendee fee or something, they will subsidize the members, but the non-members pay full price or something like that.
We can discuss that when we have money. If anybody has any fundraising ideas as well, I personally don't have much experience with fundraising, so.
Just a note, gaining AATCC members is good for the section because the money that you get every year from the AATCC headquarters is entirely dependent on how many members you have.
Which is good.
Oh, yeah. It counted by individual members, and each corporate category carries with it an individual member or 2 or 3 or however. So they count individual members, and the more the better. It's a percentage of how much in dues you pay to A Squared headquarters is given right back to the section.
When is that funding typically shared with the sections?
I don't get involved in that. That comes from Mr. Daniels' office. I want to say in January they were trying to get people to, because you have to submit the treasurer's report.
Okay.
You have to submit an annual report, just one report, and proof that you've had at least one meeting during the year. And some of the sections can't or don't or won't do the reporting on a timely basis. So that's been a struggle. So
just for us, we'll work with George, who's our treasurer, and this is our first meeting, so
I'll have, you've met Debbie Hibbard. She's the one who does all that. So she can give you excellent guidance on when to have reports.
And is there a template that
she probably has one. And it's not a huge and onerous report. It's fairly straightforward. They just want to know that, there's a section, it exists, it does things, therefore they should get money.
Okay. We will get right on that.
So when we're going to be sort of putting it online for SoCal and everything, I think it would be nice to have like maybe the first 15 minutes just like a mix and mingle to like meet new people that are here, and we don't know everyone all the time, and I feel like we have to kind of rush to get on the thing at like 6, but what if we were like 6:15 and we were on here and we could at least like kind of just have a more casual like greeting time for 15 minutes. Just an idea for the next time.
I like it. Yeah. And for those who are interested, anybody who wants to come to dinner afterwards, a bunch of us were interested in going to the little Italian place right next door. But yeah, I definitely think that having that kind of mix and mingle. Yeah. There are snacks in the back. I don't know if everybody got snacks. But we do like snacks. All right. I think that'll. Do you want to talk about Heather? Do you have anything else? Did anybody else show up?
There's other people that we know of, but we're not sure if they're connected.
Oh.
Robin.
No one's called.
Do we know though if anyone clicked online?
They would have to register.
Oh.
We'll interrogate them tomorrow.
We're going to need to do better. We're going to need to get better participation.
You are getting text messages?
Yeah, from other people watching. So.
Oh, really? What do they think?
There are other ways.
Okay. Oh, who else is Heather? Can you let us know who's there? I know Robin Butler. Now I'm going to put her name down. Heather, can you type who's there? And while we're waiting, Crystal, can you tell us who you're texting? Robin Butler. Oh, nice. So they're the North Face Action Sports team. Fantastic. Product people. Again, get your product people here. I mean, it doesn't all have to be the sciencey edge of it or the regulatory edge of it. Having designers and developers and other people who are going to benefit greatly. Thank you, Stephanie.
Robin Butler just signed on.
Thanks, Robin. Hi, Fern. Heather, who's with you? Did Johnny and Cameron get to come? Maybe Bronny? Swiss Tex folks.
Robin Butler says, hi, ladies, great meeting. Where is Robin?
Alameda.
Yeah, I think they're in the North Face. Okay, so with Heather, we have Cameron, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing, Cameron Anganje, Junie Kaiko, Mario Gissinger, Janie Kaiko also, and Heather. So forgive my mispronunciations. One day we'll meet in person and I'll get it correctly.
That's great. So you guys can work on trying to find a new place if you don't like that place. All right. I think that we're going to adjourn this meeting. It's really nice. Okay. Thank you, Eva, for hosting us and for your technology.
Thanks to Michael and Fernando in the back operating the cameras and doing this live webcast for us. It's really, they took their time out of their day to do this. It was really a gift.
And thank you to Maria for coming all the way out here. And hopefully you'll...
How are people going to be able to access the recording after?
I'll be able to speak to that later once we work that out.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so mix and mingle. We'll go for dinner in a little bit. We'll do the 15 minutes after mix and mingle this time. And then next time we'll do it prior. All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye, Southern California. We're signing out.